My wife wanted to divorce me after she found out her first love had divorced. She explained to me very seriously. The reason I married you was only because he got married, that's the only way you had a chance. My dream all along was to have a family with him. I strongly disagreed, but she started playing dirty tricks, Sao, which in this context means to act inappropriately/outrageously. She moved in with her first love and disowned our daughter. Heartbroken, I agreed to the divorce. Later, she begged me to remarry her, citing that the child was still young and could not be without a mother. However, our daughter spoke first. Dad, you absolutely must not remarry her. I never would have thought that my marriage with Wang Qian, which lasted only 7 years, would come to such a precarious pass. To outsiders, my ability to marry Wang Qian was undoubtedly a blessing earned in a past life. I knew how lucky I was to have such a wife, so I cherished her deeply in our life together. Except for necessary social obligations, I hardly ever ate out. Every time I had a social event, my heart was with Wang Qian at home. Thinking that she might be waiting for me alone at home, I felt guilty. So I always tried to decline unnecessary gatherings and rushed home early to be with her. Rain or shine, severe cold or scorching heat, I unfailingly rushed home to accompany her. My friends all laughed at me, saying I was blinded by love and forgot my friends, calling me a henpecked husband, pa erdwa, literally rake ears. Whenever I heard such remarks, I just smiled and shook my head without refuting them. In my view, my wife is my life's companion, and it is my duty to accompany and care for her. I thought I could barely be considered a good man, a good husband. I thought we would grow old together like this and be companions for life. I imagined our future life, a family living together in harmony and happiness. But I never expected that a so-called university class reunion would make Wang Qian conceive the idea of divorce. Last night, after I took a shower as usual, I still had the fragrance of the bath on me and was looking forward to an intimate moment with her. I gently walked to her side, trying to hold her hand, my eyes full of loving tenderness. However, she forcefully pushed me away, and the strength of the push caught me off guard, making me step back a few paces. Chen Lang, let's get a divorce. Her voice was cold and resolute, leaving no room for discussion. At that moment, my mind instantly went blank, as if the whole world had stopped spinning. My heart felt as if it had been deeply pricked by countless fine needles, the pain spreading throughout my body. I simply couldn't believe that the wife who had once made solemn vows with me and leaned on me was now so unfamiliar and so ruthless. I stood rooted to the spot in a daze. Tears welled up in my eyes, but they wouldn't fall. I really couldn't figure out what on earth was going on. Just last week, we were immersed in a beautiful vision of our future life, discussing preparations for having a second child. At that time, the home was filled with a warm and expectant atmosphere. She even excitedly suggested going out to rent a couple's room to recapture the thrilling passion of our dating days. She looked at me gently, her eyes sparkling with anticipation, and said softly, Chen Lang, how about we go out and get a couple's room in a few days? At the time, I happily agreed to her suggestion. I carefully selected and reserved a room with an elegant and cozy setting, eagerly looking forward to reliving the good old days with her. But what about now? Everything had become so strange and unacceptable. She was now full of disdain, and the tenderness and love of the past were gone from her eyes when she looked at me. That cold look was like a sharp blade deeply piercing my heart. I really wanted to know what happened at that seemingly ordinary class reunion. What caused such a drastic change in her attitude? Seeing her serious demeanor, I was filled with mixed feelings, and I knew she was not joking. I asked her, full of confusion, why? My voice was trembling, and I struggled to suppress the display of my inner emotions. Wang Qian looked at me solemnly, her expression revealing a complex yet determined look. Chen Lang, you wouldn't understand the feeling of getting back what was lost. Her voice was not loud, but it struck my heart like a heavy hammer. I found it a bit ridiculous. This sudden change left me somewhat bewildered. But I tried hard to keep my emotions stable, took a deep breath, and tried to make my voice sound calmer. What is getting back what was lost? What are you talking about? Wang Qian's unwavering gaze locked onto mine, and then she slowly began to recount the day of the reunion. Her voice was very light, very gentle, especially when mentioning Lin Zijie's name. Her tone was filled with deep affection and yearning, as if she had returned to the time they were together. She looked like a young girl in love, her eyes full of stars, twinkling with the light of happiness and sweetness. A sudden class reunion had unexpectedly reawakened a spring-like vitality in her. She believed that after divorcing me, she could rekindle her relationship with Lin Zijie. In her world, Lin Zijie was the entire meaning of her life. I feigned composure, but my eyes had already begun to fog up involuntarily. I couldn't believe that the wife who had once shared a bed with me and managed our family together was now thinking of starting over with another man. Lin Zijie got divorced, and you think you can be together again, is that right? My voice was tearful, unable to conceal my heartache and disappointment. Wang Qian looked at me with a wronged expression, her eyes glistening with tears, as if she were the one who had been hurt. Chen Lang, I don't want to either, but I can't control myself. I know I'm letting you down. Her voice, though soft, was like a dull knife, slicing at my heart one stroke at a time. You can definitely understand, right? She continued, her eyes showing a look of plea. Shouldn't loving someone mean fulfilling their happiness? She added, as if it were a matter of course. Her words were like sharp thorns, deeply piercing my heart. The reason I married you in the first place was only because he got married, and that's the only way you had a chance. My dream all along was to have a family with him. As Wang Qian spoke, her emotions inexplicably became agitated, and her voice grew somewhat sharp. Anyone who didn't know would have thought I was bullying her. My heart was filled with anger and helplessness, and I questioned her, my voice tearful. So, for him, are you willing to abandon me and our child? Don't you love Henin anymore? Tears blurred my vision. Wang Qian's eyes revealed urgency. Chen Lang, I know what scheme you're trying to pull. Don't think you can use the child to keep me tied down. Wang Qian's voice was slightly trembling. She unconsciously clenched her hands around the hem of her clothes, seemingly trying to suppress her inner panic. I already missed him once out of cowardice, and I still can't forget that agonizing feeling. Now, I don't want to miss him a second time. This is my only chance in this lifetime, a chance to have a family with him. Tears welled up in the corners of Wang Qian's eyes again. I was nearly 40 years old, and for the first time I felt so useless. Recalling all the small details of these years, those days of silently dedicating myself to the family. My tears began to flow uncontrollably, blurring my vision and wetting my cheeks. After so many years of painstaking effort, how did it all end up like this? Every drop of tear was like the pouring out of the grievances and helplessness in my heart. It was also the first time Wang Qian had seen me lose control. She paused slightly, a flash of reluctance in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by determination. Chen Lang, it's come to this, and it's my fault. After the divorce, I won't ask for a single penny from you. I'll leave empty-handed. How about that? Wang Qian took a deep breath, trying to make her voice sound calmer. But the slight tremor in her tone still betrayed her inner tension. So, you absolutely must divorce me for him, is that right? I sneered, my heart filled with bitterness and anger. Did all these years of our marriage mean so little to her? I can't help it, I love him. Wang Qian said softly, her eyes revealing an ineffable depth of feeling. I can't be with him as a married woman, that would give him a bad reputation. Wang Qian slightly lowered her head and bit her lip. Does he know you've gone to such lengths for him? I pressed, the anger in my heart flaring up again. He doesn't know. I told him I also got divorced and was preparing to find a good husband to settle down with. Wang Qian looked up, a flash of guilt in her eyes, but it was quickly hidden by determination. I won't agree to the divorce. I worked so hard to make money, support the family, and maintain our relationship. I shouted, my voice full of despair and unwillingness. How could all those years of effort be given up so easily? Just because you say you've rekindled an old flame, I have to step aside? What does that make all my years of effort? The pain in my heart had spread throughout my body. Am I a backup, a dog, i.e., a submissive doormat? I had never lost control of my emotions like this before, feeling like a fool who had been tricked and deceived. Enough, Chen Lang. I'm telling you the truth because I appreciate the good things you've done for me all these years. Don't be ungrateful. Wang Qian's voice also raised a few pitches, her eyes showing impatience. The fact that I can calmly discuss this with you now is already me being very considerate. Wang Qian sighed lightly, a look of weariness in her eyes. Also, I absolutely will not allow you to do anything bad to Lin Zijie, or I will never forgive you. When she mentioned Lin Zijie, Wang Qian's eyes held an extra measure of tenderness and resolve. Towards the end, she sighed in disappointment. Forget it, you should calm down. I'll move out for now, and you can contact me when you've thought things through. Saying this, Wang Qian turned and walked towards the closet, beginning to pack her luggage. Her movements were somewhat hurried, yet orderly. She casually grabbed a few clothes. Then she dragged her suitcase and left without looking back. Just like that, Wang Qian's image as the perfect wife and loving mother, which had been so flawless in my mind, collapsed. A couple of days later, when I opened the mailbox and saw the divorce agreement from Wang Qian, I stood there in a daze, clutching the letter tightly in my hand, but I didn't have the mind to read the details of the agreement. The contents that might have involved property division, child custody, and so on seemed so insignificant in my eyes at that moment, because my mind was completely consumed by the fact of her betrayal of our family. When Lin Zijie divorced, he left with nothing and had nowhere to live. And Wang Qian, the wife I once deeply loved and trusted. She actually took him into the small apartment she had bought before we were married. The thought of the two of them living together so naturally made my stomach churn. Anger, resentment, pain, and all sorts of emotions were intertwined, practically drowning me. That evening, my good friend Zhang Liang and I were drinking in a dim bar. The liquor slid down my throat, but the spicy taste couldn't dispel the gloom in my heart. Fueled by the alcohol, I finally couldn't help but pour out all the bitterness in my heart. After hearing it, Zhang Liang immediately looked indignant. He slammed his hand on the table, his eyes flashing with anger. Brother Chen, should I take a few people to teach Lin Zijie a lesson? His voice trembled with agitation. I hung my head and gave a bitter smile, shaking my head, thinking back on the nearly 10 years I had known Wang Qian. I understood her personality. No matter how much I argued with her, no matter how much I pleaded, if she was set on something, she would do it, and no one could change her mind. And even if I found someone to beat up Lin Zijie, while it would temporarily satisfy my anger, it obviously wouldn't solve the problem fundamentally. It was also highly likely that I would get into trouble with the law. Iduan Gujiafan, literally a national meal, meaning jail time. Henin is still young and needs the care and love of her parents right now. My parents passed away a few years ago. If I accidentally went to jail, who would take care of Henin? Thinking of this, my heart felt like it was being deeply pricked by countless fine needles, the pain spreading throughout my body. No, Liangzi, beating him won't solve anything, I said slowly, my voice full of helplessness and exhaustion. The key issue is Wang Qian, she was the one who cheated. I took a gulp of my drink and added, are we just going to watch that shameless scoundrel destroy your family? Zhang Liang's voice rose a few pitches, his eyes full of unwillingness. I replied helplessly, forget it, Liangzi. Let's leave this for now. We can talk about it later. At that moment, I felt a sense of helplessness and confusion I had never felt before. I just don't know how to tell Henin about her mom and me getting divorced. My heart was filled with guilt and worry for my child. Zhang Liang gave me a look of sympathy. He gently patted my shoulder, sighed, and said, sigh, Brother Chen. About half a month after the big argument with Wang Qian about the divorce. That day, I was at the company making final preparations for an upcoming project, feeling highly stressed. Suddenly, my phone rang sharply, breaking the office's quiet. I glanced at the caller ID, it was Henin's schoolteacher. An ominous feeling surged into my heart, and I quickly answered the phone. The teacher's anxious voice came through the receiver. Mr. Chen, please come to the school immediately. Henin got into a fight with another child, and the situation is a bit serious. My heart sank instantly. Henin's small figure flashed through my mind, and I was filled with worry and self-reproach. But I was meeting a client at the moment, and this important collaborative project was at a critical stage. I couldn't possibly leave. Helpless, I had no choice but to call Wang Qian, hoping she could go to the school to handle the situation. The moment the call connected, I was hopeful. I thought that since she was Henin's biological mother, she would surely rush over immediately. However, Wang Qian's response on the other end of the phone chilled me to the bone. Chen Lang, are you even a man? Using the child as an excuse to look for me. Don't think I don't know what you're trying to do. You just want to use the child to tie me down, right? Her voice was sharp and grating. Every word was like a needle pricking my heart. I'm telling you, I am absolutely not going. That's your child, you take care of her yourself. Except for the divorce, don't call me about anything else, so Lin Zijie won't get jealous. Hearing her remarks, my anger flared up instantly. I was so furious on the phone that my whole body was shaking, and I wanted to fly over immediately and slap her twice. In the end, I could only hastily conclude the meeting with the client, quickly gave a few instructions to my assistant, and then rushed to the school in a panic. Along the way, I was consumed with anxiety, Henin's adorable yet wronged face constantly appearing in my mind. When I finally rushed to the school, Henin was sitting in the office, tears still on her little face, her eyes filled with fear and unease. Seeing me, she immediately lunged into my arms and began to cry loudly. My heart twisted in pain. I gently patted her back and said tenderly, baby, don't be afraid. Daddy's here. After comforting Henin, I took her home, thinking all the way about how to explain everything to her. After getting home and settling Henin, I decided to go find Wang Qian and get a clear explanation. I drove to Wang Qian and Lin Zijie's apartment and rang the doorbell. The door opened, and Wang Qian stood before me with her arms crossed, looking impatient. What are you doing here? Her eyes were cold and distant, as if there had never been any affection between us. What am I doing here? You'll find out soon enough, I said, suppressing the anger in my heart. After saying that, without another word, I slapped her. I put all my strength into that slap, my hand was even a little numb. Wang Qian's face instantly turned red and swollen. She looked at me furiously and shouted, Chen Lang, are you crazy? How dare you hit me? She rushed towards me like a mad woman, clawing and flailing. I didn't hesitate and kicked her to the ground. Watching her fall awkwardly, my anger did not subside in the slightest. I'm hitting a shameless person like you, someone who doesn't deserve to be a mother. You pretended not to know Henin at school, picked up someone else's child, and left her alone at school. You made her think she was an unwanted child, that's why she fought with the other kid. The more I spoke, the angrier I got, and my voice involuntarily grew louder. Wang Qian showed no sign of remorse, saying coldly, "How do I have so much time? The two places aren't on the way. If I pick up Henin, what about Lin Zijie's child? I promised Lin Zijie I would take good care of his child." Hearing her words, I completely erupted. "But Henin is your biological child." Wang Qian shouted back. "So what? Are you dead? Can't you go pick her up? I think you're just using the child as an excuse to deliberately come looking for me, hoping I won't go through with the divorce. I'm telling you, it's absolutely impossible. Just on this point alone, you can never compare to Lin Zijie's decisiveness. He divorced his ex-wife without any hesitation, unlike you." My eyes were icy cold. Looking at her face, my disgust reached its peak. I instantly slapped the other side of her face, which was still intact. She glared at me with an expression that said she wanted to devour me. "Fine. If that's the case, we'll go get the divorce certificate 1 month from now. Anyone who doesn't show up is a dog." After saying that, I turned and left. Actually, I only agreed at that moment because I was in a fit of rage, but it was also my genuine desire. I planned to go back and explain everything about her mother and me to Henin. Children these days mature much earlier, they are not as clueless as we were back then. They receive more information, and faster, through phones, television, and other means than our generation did. Perhaps she had already sensed that something was wrong with her mother and my relationship. That evening, I honestly told Henin about her mother and me getting divorced. Every word was like a heavy stone, painfully squeezed out of my mouth. However, I chose to conceal the specific reasons for the divorce. Henin lowered her head, eating quietly, not saying a word. Her movements seemed mechanical. I could feel her unease. Her eyes were full of doubt and fear, yet she seemed to be desperately trying to suppress an emotion that was about to break free. Silence enveloped us like a dense fog. After a long while, she finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Dad, I already knew you were going to get divorced." I was stunned, a complex mix of emotions surging through me. Surprise, guilt, and heartache were all intertwined, making it almost impossible to breathe. I looked at her, trying to find some clue on her face, but she avoided my gaze. "I knew a week ago when Mommy went to pick up another child from school, and not me." Her voice grew softer and softer. At that moment, my heart sank. "Dad, was I not a good girl, which is why Mommy pretended not to know me?" Tears were now streaming down Henin's flushed little face. The teardrops glittered under the light, stinging my eyes. I was filled with mixed emotions, looking at my heartbroken daughter. I couldn't bear to tell her the truth. I knew she was too young to bear such a blow. So, I could only comfort her gently. "It's not your fault. I'll explain the specific reasons to you later." Henin suddenly looked up, her eyes showing a kind of determination. "Dad, don't hide it from me anymore. Did Mommy run off with someone else and abandon us?" Her words stunned me. I never thought she would already know this secret. I heard the aunts and other ladies in the neighborhood talking about it behind my back. She continued. Although her voice was calm, the pain contained within it was heartbreaking. Although I don't know the exact content of what they were saying, I could clearly feel that they were paying more attention to me than before. With tears in my eyes, I held Henin in my arms. I felt a suffocating pain in my heart, as if a huge stone was pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. "I'm sorry." I choked out, my voice full of self-reproach and regret. Henin, in turn, patted my back consolingly. "It's okay, Dad. We'll live well together as father and daughter from now on." Her simple words gave me immense comfort and support. On Henin's birthday. This should have been a day filled with laughter and warmth, but Wang Qian still did not show up. Looking at my daughter's adorable face, I couldn't help but sigh, thinking Henin would be sad because of it. After all, she had been looking forward to her birthday for so long, eagerly anticipating going to the amusement park with both her mom and dad. However, to my surprise, Henin seemed completely unaffected and enjoyed playing to the fullest. I felt both relieved and a little confused. She had been anticipating this birthday for so long. Didn't she really care about her mother's absence? Her mom and I had once promised her that we would accompany her to the amusement park that day and give her an unforgettable birthday. Even though her mom had abandoned us as her father, I still decided to take her as promised. The moment we walked into the amusement park, Henin's eyes lit up with excitement. The colorful carousel, the thrilling roller coaster, the lively crowds, everything felt incredibly new and happy to her. I was also infected by her mood and temporarily forgot my worries, focusing entirely on spending time with her. Just as we were heading to the next ride, Henin suddenly stopped and froze. I followed her gaze and saw a family of 3 enjoying themselves not far away. It was Wang Qian and Lin Zijie. They were each holding the child's hand, their faces beaming with happy smiles. The boy was about the same age as Henin, looking curiously at everything around him. If I didn't say anything, no one would know that this couple, in my eyes, were such contemptible adulterers. Seeing this scene, my heart instantly sank. Anger, resentment, pain, and all sorts of emotions surged within me. My fists unconsciously clenched, my fingernails digging deep into my palms, but I struggled to control my emotions. Henin suddenly gripped my hand, looked up at me, her eyes showing worry and determination. She said softly, "Daddy, you can't be impulsive. I only have you now." At that moment, I felt my daughter's dependence and trust in me, and the anger in my heart gradually subsided. I understood what Henin meant. I took a deep breath and replied gently, "Daddy is not an impulsive person." They didn't see Henin in me. They turned a corner and walked in another direction. I couldn't help but look at them a few more times. This was the first time I had seen Lin Zijie. He looked quite thin, his appearance was ordinary, his complexion was fair, and there was a hint of handsomeness between his brows. I really couldn't understand how I had lost to a man like this. I was confident that he couldn't compare to me in terms of looks or talent, but reality was so cruel that I had to accept this fact indeed. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Wang Qian's choice made me deeply realize this. The power of a first love is truly immense. It can make a person lose themselves and make decisions that are difficult to comprehend. In the evening, we went to a restaurant. Henin ate with great relish while I was lost in thought. Suddenly, Henin put down her utensils, looked up at me, her expression revealing maturity and determination. She suddenly asked, "Dad, when are you going to get the divorce certificate with Mommy? I don't want her anymore." Seeing the urgency in Henin's eyes, my heart ached. I knew my daughter was still young and might not fully understand these complex emotions, but she must have sensed the change in our family. I asked her very seriously in return, "If your mom and I really divorce, won't you be sad?" Henin nodded firmly and said, "Hum." At that moment, I understood my daughter's decision. Perhaps for her, this was a form of self-protection. Wang Qian and I finally reached the point of divorce. A month later, she received the divorce certificate she had been longing for, completely regaining her freedom, and finally, she no longer had to deal with other people's gossip. The moment she got the divorce certificate, she publicly announced Lin Zijie on her social media. The caption read, "Finally got what I wished for and am with the person I love." Below it was a picture of their hands tightly clasped together. She kept her promise and didn't ask for a single penny from me in the divorce out of consideration for her still being the biological mother of our daughter. I didn't cut off all ties and still retained her right to visit our daughter. A month after divorcing Wang Qian, life gradually returned to calm. I thought this ended marriage would fade from our lives, and we would each return to our original tracks. However, fate always seems to enjoy stirring up trouble unexpectedly. Suddenly, the phone rang, breaking the tranquility. I glanced at the caller ID. It was Wang Qian's name. A sense of doubt arose in my heart. We were already divorced. Why would she suddenly call me? With that question in mind, I answered the phone. "Chen Lang, you are such a despicable villain. It turns out divorcing you was the right choice." On the other end of the line, Wang Qian's voice was sharp and angry. Her sudden accusation left me confused. My mind went blank for a moment, completely unsure what fit of madness she was having. Countless thoughts raced through my head. Did something else go wrong in her life, and she was taking it out on me? "Wang Qian, what the hell is wrong with you? How am I a despicable villain? What more do you want?" I couldn't help but snap back, the anger in my heart also beginning to flare up. After all, divorce was a mutual decision, and I had tried my best to part ways amicably. Her groundless accusations made me feel incredibly wronged and furious. Wang Qian's sharp voice came through the phone again. Every word seemed to be squeezed out from between her teeth, utterly unpleasant. "It's true that you agreed to the divorce, but you actually deliberately told your good friend not to invest in Lin Zijie's company to get back at me." Hearing this, I was stunned. What the heck? How could she blame me for something like this? I really couldn't figure it out. How could she twist the facts like this and forcefully link completely unrelated matters together? I truly wanted to know if what was between Wang Qian's ears was a tumor. How could she have such an absurd idea? I didn't pay attention to Wang Qian's unreasonable rant and hung up on her without hesitation. After hanging up, I was still a bit angry and tossed my phone aside. Later, I called Zhang Liang to find out what happened. "Hello, Zhang Liang. Wang Qian just called me and said some inexplicable things, mentioning you and the investment in Lin Zijie's company. What's going on?" I asked anxiously. He explained the whole story to me. Zhang Liang laughed heartily on the other end of the phone. "Haha, how about that? Brother Chen, pretty good, huh?" I smiled, and the stone in my heart finally dropped. So that's what happened. But how did this news get to Wang Qian? Who knows? Maybe someone from Lin Zijie's side accidentally let it slip. Anyway, we don't need to worry about people like that. Zhang Liang's tone was dismissive. "Okay, good then. I'll buy you a drink next time," I said, my gratitude for Zhang Liang increasing. It turned out that Lin Zijie's company needed investment, and he, unfortunately, approached Zhang Liang's investment firm. Zhang Liang is my good friend, and he naturally knew that my feelings for Wang Qian were overt. He also knew that there seemed to be some unclear relationship between Lin Zijie and Wang Qian. So, he naturally didn't want to deal with Lin Zijie and rejected his investment request. In Wang Qian's eyes, all of this was twisted into me deliberately arranging it to retaliate against her. After divorcing Wang Qian, I took my daughter, Henin, and left Nancheng for Haicheng. Along the way, Henin nestled tightly beside me. Her eyes revealed unease and curiosity. I gently stroked her hair, silently vowing to give her a better future. Haicheng's educational resources are among the best in the country. For my daughter's education, I didn't hesitate to sell all the real estate I owned in Nancheng. Those houses that once held countless memories for me were now a thing of the past. I knew that only by making this sacrifice could I create better conditions for Henin. Haicheng is also Zhang Liang's hometown. He acquired a tech company there that develops games. Although I don't understand game development, I understand management. So, I was just responsible for helping him manage this tech company. Zhang Liang is the actual owner of this tech company. In the following days, my colleagues and I worked hard together, pooling our efforts for the company's development. 6 months later, the company's first game unexpectedly became a hit online. Watching the continually rising download numbers and positive reviews, my heart was filled with joy and pride. This was not only because our efforts had paid off, but also because the game brought happiness to people. With the game's popularity, the company completely made a name for itself in the industry. All thanks to this little game. As the public-facing head of the company, I also began to receive increasing attention. At an industry business gathering. I was standing among the crowd, enthusiastically discussing industry trends and future development with my colleagues. My eyes, however, inadvertently swept over a familiar figure. Lin Zijie. I saw him walking slowly into the venue, arm in arm with a wealthy woman in her 60s. Their posture seemed extraordinarily intimate, and there was some unspoken understanding between them. This pair immediately attracted the attention of many people, who either whispered or looked surprised. It was widely known that this wealthy woman's husband had unfortunately passed away 5 years ago, leaving her a huge fortune. However, the wealthy woman's private life had always been an open secret in the circle. Her questionable behavior had long been a topic of gossip. Doubt arose in my heart. I truly couldn't figure out what method Lin Zijie had used to hook up with this wealthy woman. Looking at the wealthy woman's wrinkled, slightly bloated appearance, I even found it a bit incomprehensible. How could Lin Zijie bring himself to kiss her? However, none of this concerned me. I quickly redirected my attention back to my conversations with other industry elites. Everyone shared management experiences, and the atmosphere was lively and harmonious. Halfway through the gathering, the originally calm atmosphere was suddenly broken. Wang Qian burst into the venue like a whirlwind. Her appearance instantly made the whole scene tense. I had just returned from the restroom and was standing at the edge of the crowd, so I spotted her right away. Having not seen her for 6 months, the change in Wang Qian shocked me. The once radiant woman was now haggard and exhausted, her eyes revealing a kind of weariness and resentment. She was like a flower that was once gorgeously dripping with dew, now gradually withering in the wind and rain. It seemed her life after divorcing me was not going well, which inexplicably gave me a sense of relief. Wang Qian seemed to have lost her mind, shouting loudly in the venue with the aggressive demeanor of a street shrew. Lin Zijie, get out here! You have the guts to find an old woman, but you don't have the guts to face me? I sacrificed so much for you, is this how you treat me? Wang Qian's voice was full of endless grievance and anger. Tears welled up in her eyes, yet she stubbornly refused to let them fall. I'm telling you, you'll never get rid of me. While yelling, she rushed toward Lin Zijie's direction without any regard for anyone else. Lin Zijie was instantly embarrassed, and the smile on his face vanished instantly. He hurried forward, trying to cover Wang Qian's mouth and stop her reckless behavior, but it was already too late. By then, Wang Qian had rushed right up to the wealthy woman. She pointed at the wealthy woman's nose and loudly accused her of being a mistress, saying the wealthy woman had seduced her husband. The people around, like sharks that smelled blood, quickly gathered, all with a look of watching a show, their eyes glued to the 3 people at the center of the storm. The wealthy woman, who was being discussed by the surrounding people, also changed her expression. The proud look she originally had instantly disappeared, replaced by embarrassment and fury. However, this farce didn't last long. Soon, a few security guards rushed into the crowd and, without question, dragged the troublemaking Wang Qian out. Wang Qian struggled desperately, continuing to curse Lin Zijie and the wealthy woman, but it was all in vain. Lin Zijie, feeling guilty, hurriedly tried to explain to the wealthy woman at the side. My little darling, listen to me, she's just a lunatic. Don't listen to her nonsense. I never married her at all, she just shamelessly clung to me. I am sincere about you. His tone was full of anxiety and unease, his eyes showing fear, terrified that the wealthy woman would abandon him because of this. The wealthy woman, having lost face, threw off Lin Zijie's hand in disgust and asked him coldly. Lin Zijie, didn't you say you had completely cut ties with her? Her voice was not loud, but it was full of authority and displeasure. Lin Zijie's tone became even more humble. Give me some time and I'll definitely cut her off completely. Don't worry. However, the wealthy woman no longer believed his words. She glared fiercely at Lin Zijie and then left the venue directly. Seeing this, Lin Zijie followed her like a dog, continuously trying to explain. His appearance was utterly ridiculous. I was in the corner, watching this farce with great interest, watching the scene unfold between Lin Zijie and the wealthy woman. An inexplicable sense of pleasure rose in my heart. Not long after, news spread that the wealthy woman had found a new partner. That I thought it would be impossible for Wang Qian and me to ever cross paths again in this lifetime. But the wheels of fate unexpectedly began to turn, intertwining Wang Qian and me once more. As usual, I was heading to pick up my daughter, Henin, from school with anticipation. Just then, a familiar yet strange figure came into my sight. It was Wang Qian. My heart instantly sank, and a complex mix of emotions surged through me, surprise, doubt, and disgust intertwined, leaving me somewhat bewildered. I saw Wang Qian half kneeling on the ground, her expression extremely anxious, constantly saying something. Her eyes revealed a sense of urgency and longing, as if she were desperately trying to grasp the last straw. Henin, I'm your mommy, have you forgotten? Wang Qian's voice was tearful and stood out strikingly in the noisy crowd. But my daughter, Henin, was hiding behind the teacher, her face scrunched up, showing a scared expression. She was tightly gripping the corner of the teacher's clothes. You are not my mom. Henin's voice was young but incredibly firm. Hearing her daughter's answer, Wang Qian was instantly devastated. She cried and her eyes were full of despair. She tried to reach out and pull Henin, but Henin dodged her. The teacher frowned upon seeing this and sternly warned Wang Qian, "Please leave immediately, or I will call the police." Although the teacher's voice was not loud, it carried an undeniable authority. When my daughter, Henin, saw me, she rushed into my arms like a frightened fawn. Her small body trembled slightly, as if she had just experienced a nightmare. I gently stroked her hair, my heart filled with both heartache and anger. Later, the teacher pulled me aside and told me the details of the incident. Listening to the teacher's account, the anger in my heart flared up. That I never thought Wang Qian would show up at this time and do something like this. Suppressing the anger in my heart, I honestly explained the reasons to the teacher. After hearing my explanation, the teacher realized what was happening and immediately understood why my daughter, Henin, was so agitated upon seeing Wang Qian. After getting home, I handed my daughter over to the nanny and then rushed downstairs. I met Wang Qian at the coffee shop downstairs. Wang Qian looked a bit haggard, her eyes revealing unease and hesitation. Her hesitant appearance made me even more irritated. I frowned and looked at her coldly, asking, "What's going on? Why did you suddenly want to see our daughter?" My voice carried a hint of sarcasm and disdain. I wondered how she even had the nerve to show up here. Wang Qian sighed and said slowly, "Alas, I haven't seen our daughter in a long time, so I wanted to see her and strengthen our bond." A flash of guilt appeared in her eyes, but she quickly hid it. I couldn't help but sneer and said, "Oh, you still remember you have a daughter? Didn't you have to take care of your first love's child?" Thinking of how she had abandoned our daughter and me to embrace her first love, my heart ached as if being sliced by a knife. Wang Qian's face instantly became unpleasant. She opened her mouth, wanting to defend herself, but didn't know what to say. "Chen Lang, no matter what, I am still Henin's biological mother. What you said is a bit too much." Wang Qian's voice was slightly shaky, and her expression showed grievance. "You didn't say that back then." I glared at her, and the memories in my heart surged like a tide. All the past hurts and disappointments welled up at this moment. Wang Qian's face instantly became embarrassed. She lowered her head, not daring to meet my eyes. "Chen Lang, look, Henin is still so young, she can't be without a mother. How about we remarry?" Wang Qian looked up, her eyes full of expectation and longing. My eyes widened. I couldn't believe my ears. Wang Qian actually said something like that. How could she be so selfish? The anger in my heart instantly burned, and I sneered, staring intensely at her. "Chen Lang, I'm doing this for the child's own good. Since we can give the child a complete family, we shouldn't let her lack a mother's love for our own selfish desires. That would be very bad for the child's future development." Wang Qian tried to persuade me, but her words sounded like noise in my ears. "Don't you agree, Chen Lang?" By the end of her sentence, Wang Qian's eyes became evasive, and her voice grew softer. I pretended to think, nodding seriously, agreeing with her statement. "What you said is very reasonable." When Wang Qian heard my reply, her eyes lit up, and a relieved smile appeared on her face. Then, I immediately added, "But not you. I have other choices for Henin's mother." My tone was firm and cold, leaving no room for negotiation. "Chen Lang, what do you mean? Are you still angry?" Wang Qian's face turned pale. She seemed not to have expected me to say that. "I just made a mistake that all women make. Leaving the facts aside, are you completely without fault?" Wang Qian tried to defend herself, but her words only made me more disgusted. I glared at her, unable to control the anger in my heart. "As a man, you should be broad-minded and forgiving of your woman's small mistakes." Wang Qian was still trying to convince me, but I didn't want to hear her excuses anymore. How could a person fall into the same trap twice? She chose to leave me for her first love this time, but what about next time? What if another moonlight white, i.e. the idealized unattainable woman that she can't have appears? I dared not take that risk, nor did I want to. I stood up, turned around without hesitation, and walked straight out of the coffee shop. The sun shone on me, but I felt no warmth, only endless coldness and disappointment in my heart. The following week, Wang Qian went to the school gate every day, regardless of the weather, her gaze fixed on our daughter Henin. She tried every method, from gentle persuasion to careful flattery, sparing no effort. All just to get her daughter to change her mind about her. Every day, she was like someone wearing a mask, playing the role of a perfect mother. She hoped that this way, she could regain her daughter's approval and acceptance. However, no matter how much Wang Qian racked her brains, her daughter Henin's heart seemed to be frozen, ignoring all her efforts and maintaining that cold attitude. Until a morning half a month later, Wang Qian disappeared again without any warning. As if she had never appeared, I thought this farce had finally ended. But fate always seems to enjoy playing jokes. One day half a month later, Wang Qian appeared again at the entrance of my residential complex. This time, she had another person with her. Lin Zijie was emaciated, his eye sockets were deeply sunken, and his face was as pale as paper, clearly suffering greatly from a serious illness. As soon as he saw me, he suddenly dropped to his knees in front of my daughter and me. This action startled Henin, who was already timid, and she quickly hid behind me. "Brother Chen, please save me." Lin Zijie's voice was trembling and desperate. "As long as you are willing to save me, I am willing to give Wang Qian back to you, and we can call off our grudges." Wang Qian stood to the side, tears streaming down her face, nodding repeatedly and agreeing. "Chen Lang, I know I was wrong. Everything was my fault before. As long as you can save Zijie, I am willing to remarry you, and our family can live like before." Recalling the scene when Wang Qian suddenly came back and asked for a remarriage last time, I had many doubts in my heart. Later, I learned through investigation that Lin Zijie had a severe kidney disease and was critically ill, desperately needing a kidney source. It turned out that Wang Qian was eager to remarry not because of genuine repentance, but because she wanted to grasp me as a life-saving straw to find a slim chance of survival for Lin Zijie. Facing this sudden turn of events, I was filled with mixed feelings. Since Wang Qian had proposed divorce, I had very little feeling left for her. Seeing her so humbly begging for the sake of another man only intensified my disappointment. Remarry? That door had already been locked in my heart. Just as I was lost in thought, my daughter Henin suddenly spoke, her voice firm and strong. "Dad, you can't agree to her. She is a bad person and doesn't really want to remarry." Upon hearing this, Wang Qian was struck as if by lightning, looking at her daughter in disbelief. "Henin, I am your mom. How can you say that about me?" This scene attracted the attention of the community security guard. This security guard was on good terms with me and had often received my care. Seeing the situation, he hurried over and asked what was going on. "Brother Chen, should I call the police?" The security guard asked with concern. I was worried that Wang Qian might lose control of her emotions and do something drastic. So, I signaled the security guard to take my daughter away and protect her first. After my daughter had safely left, I said coldly to Wang Qian, "You heard her. I will absolutely not remarry you." After hearing this, Wang Qian became even more agitated. "Henin is still so young. How can you take her words seriously? Chen Lang, please be the bigger man and forgive me this one time." "Everything is my fault," I merely smiled faintly. I hadn't expected Wang Qian's feelings for Lin Zijie to be so deep that she would beg me so humbly for his sake that I ignored her and turned to leave directly. Seeing my firm attitude, Wang Qian was instantly enraged and embarrassed. "Chen Lang, how can you be so heartless? All you lose is one kidney, but he will lose his life." However, not long after I left, Lin Zijie, in his utter despair, actually took his anger out on Wang Qian, beating and kicking her. In his view, his misfortune was all due to Wang Qian dragging him down. If the security guard hadn't discovered and stopped them in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Ultimately, to prevent the situation from escalating further, the security guard chose to call the police. In the days that followed, I started picking up and dropping off my daughter myself, afraid that Wang Qian might do something crazy. Fortunately, Wang Qian never appeared again after that, until one day I received a police notification asking me to identify a body under a bridge. When I arrived at the scene, I saw Wang Qian again. She was curled up in a corner. At that moment, a complex mix of emotions welled up in my heart.